Hello everyone, this is Yari with an astrology forecast and psychic self-defense tips for the month of November 2025. There is a lot going on and it's good to be prepared for a potentially chaotic and stressful month. Mercury is going to be retrograde for most of the month, but what makes this retrograde extra edgy and tense is the fact that it will be in conjunction with Mars and opposition with Uranus. This combination could produce a lot of nervous energy, anger, irritability, and quite frankly, even psychosis. Some people could literally go off the deep end, especially if frustrations have been building up for a very long time and they haven't found an outlet. Watch out. This could be the moment for an explosive release. Mars forms an exact opposition to Uranus on November 4th, and this opposition occurs at the 0 degree, which is a critical degree, Mars being 0 degrees of Sagittarius and Uranus being 0 degrees of Gemini. So this is a mutable opposition at a critical degree. This could stir up a lot of weather changes and catastrophes. This could erupt in the form of some sort of political craze. What else is new? It could also, for some people affect their entire equilibrium. They could just feel like they have been taken over by forces beyond their control. And so definitely this is a great time to be more aware of one's surroundings and whatever's coming through in the media. There is bound to be a lot of hype and manipulation going across, the airwaves and the internet. And this should just affect a lot of things in the economy as well. It's going to be happening the day before a full moon in Taurus, and that's an interesting one because it doesn't make any aspects for a few hours, leaving this sort of open space for anything to happen. And it's really not a comfortable feeling for a lot of people. It's going to stir things up. And probably there will be some explosive events happening. Things that are stuck will be shaken loose. Uranus will be shifting signs going back into Taurus a couple of days after that on November 7th. And so this is the part where the economy is going to be doing some backpedaling, and we're going to experience some review of the themes that we experienced about a year ago when Uranus was, in the late stages of Taurus, conjunct Algol, and there were a lot of political upheavals and there was a lot of fear around money and the stock market going up and down and just different things that we are going to be looking at having to do with resources and finance. And this whole talk of digital currency and digital ID and all of these concerns about losing our privacy and our rights are going to be coming up throughout this month. But this is a review of a lot of the things that we've already been looking at, talking about, and being presented with throughout this entire year. So everything happens kind of like in a sort of domino effect this month. But again, I don't like to present this in some sort of doomsday fashion because a lot of it is just people know about it and they've seen it coming. And Mercury will be going retrograde in Sagittarius on the 9th, and also Jupiter will be going retrograde on the 11th. So we have a lot of retrograde energy in general, plus the frustration of Mercury in conjunction with Mars. That occurs exactly on the 12th at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And so this is a really kind of triggering aspect. We experienced this in October on the 20th, and so we have 3 more after this. We have January, March, and April again to experience a Mercury-Mars conjunction, each time in a different sign, because these conjunctions happen in sets. But this one being in a fire sign is going to be real fussy and or very animated, inspiring, with that sort of get up and go energy. But there will be some impatience, and people might be more accident prone, and be prepared for a lot of delays when it comes to traveling. This is really not the best month to travel in any way, shape, or form, but you have to do it. If you got to do what you got to do, but just be aware that there might be some delays or more accidents than usual. Mercury will be re-entering Scorpio as it goes backward on the 18th, the day before the new moon on the 19th. This is a very powerful new moon, and it occurs in conjunction with Mercury retrograde opposite Uranus, with this grand water trine involving the moon, Mercury, Jupiter in Cancer, and Saturn and Neptune in late degrees Pisces. So with all of this watery energy, it's going to be emotional, and there will be a lot of extreme views, outbursts, power trips. Also, the buildup of all of these different energies this month could result in some sort of civil war or major pushback from the ground up, the people against the powers that be, the corrupt powers that be that are trying to manipulate and control everything and everyone. It's become more and more obvious what's happening, but in that, people feel frustrated, thwarted, like it has become way too personal, up close and personal, in your own backyard, in your own living room, in your own face, bank account, job, whatever. So a lot of people are going to now feel this resistance, and it's probably going to look ugly and get worse before it gets better, but it's going to be some sort of struggle initially as people come to terms with their reality. And also, since we are dealing with all 3 water signs in such a prominent way, it's also likely that there will be themes of dealing with spiritual energies, oppression, entities. There has been talk about alien invasions. Let's remember that this has been engineered and planned, and a lot of what we see is not really what's happening. In other words, sometimes it's just a big hologram in the sky, and the big lesson here is don't believe everything you see, everything you hear. You really have to be aware that there is going to be a lot of manipulation and a lot of distortion happening right now, and reactivity, how people react to what they think is really happening and freaking out, or just, again, these violent displays, or for some people it's just feeling enraptured, like, oh my gosh, this is it, beam me up, Scotty, or no, it's the end of the world, we better start, stocking up because this is it. And all of these are very extreme sorts of ways of dealing with the tension in our world. It's good to be prepared on some level, but if we're scrambling, like chickens with our heads cut off here, it's not going to be very conducive to a positive outcome. So this is what I'm trying to convey, is that the energy is going to be very erratic, anxious, angry in a lot of ways. But for some people, this energy could be harnessed for growth, positive movement, momentum, getting out of a rut and making things happen. It has to be utilized properly, and it's going to be tricky to harness this energy in a way that is helpful and useful overall, but it could be experienced in that way. I want to give both perspectives and possibilities, but I just think it's important to know that this can't be ignored, glossed over, that it's also most probably going to be very explosive with, again, a lot of things going on that seem beyond our control. Whether it has to do with things happening around us in the environment, the earth, or in politics, the internet. It's a lot of really hectic, scattered energy. So that being said, it is going to be helpful to find ways to calm the nervous system, take breaks from the internet. We have to kind of step away now and then to regain our own perspective on things, and also allow our nervous systems to recover because there's so much being thrown at us all the time. So that would be my number one piece of advice for November 2025 is calm down, nurture yourself. Don't allow yourself to get, strung along into meaningless goose chases or meaningless arguments that go nowhere but just go in circles. Conserve energy, use energy wisely. Don't sit around and do nothing, but also rest often enough, deeply enough to be able to regenerate, because there will be a lot of changing of plans and things getting scrambled around and delays, and other people might be around. You could be fine, but you will probably notice that other things and other people around you are going to be going a bit haywire. That's okay. This too shall pass. It is very possible that people may have to go over documents and contracts that were signed in October. There could be problems with the legal system. There could be extended court cases and these sorts of things happening because Sagittarius also deals with the law. Remember to stretch, spend some time in nature, make sure to eat healthy foods, get a lot of greens in your diet if you can right now, because this will help with that kind of hectic energy in Sagittarius that can affect a lot of people, can affect their liver, their digestion, their overall just sense of well-being and equilibrium. So the healthier you eat, the more nutrient dense, and also the more sort of, digestive foods that you can eat right now, the better. And that's why I was suggesting leafy greens, but also, I think it's great to eat seasonally whatever part of the world that you live in. Just remembering that it's going to be a bit hectic, chaotic, so you want grounding, nourishing types of foods that are also slightly detoxifying instead of heavy and fatty, which add to the burden of the liver. Okay, I hope that was helpful. That's about it for now. Until next time, I wish you all a wonderful month, whatever you do. Or if it's not wonderful, that you get through it, that you have the support that you need, that you gain the clarity and insights that you need to move forward with a lot more inspiration and strength within. You can book a reading with me by going to my website, astrologyhealingarts.com.